Hello, so this is the continuation of the discussion we had earlier about the carbohydrates. So I just want to add this information, yung types of sugars or your carbohydrate units. We all know naman na si sugars and amino acids, they exist or they have designations na D and L notations. Although most of the sugars are in the form of the D configuration and most of the amino acids are in the L configuration. Pero hindi mo pa rin maaalis na they still have the D and L configurations. So, yung mga monosaccharide na sugars, they exist in carbon chains having 4, 5, and 6 carbons. And also, yung mga carbon chains na yun, meron din silang sari-sariling D and L enantiomers or configurations. So, we have here 4 carbon aldehyde or aldotetrose. Aldo coming from the aldehyde, since aldehyde yung carbonyl group niya. And then tetro from the um, prefix for 4 carbon, so tetra, natanggal lang yung A and then pinalitan siya ng OSE. So, O. So, naging aldotetrose. So, ang examples or common names for those aldehyde carbohydrates na merong 4 carbons are thros and erythros. And then, next, we have the 5 carbon aldehyde carbohydrates naman or the aldopentose. Aldo, and then 5, and then O's for carbohydrates. So we have ribose, arabinose, xylose, and lysose. And then for the 6 carbon aldehyde carbohydrates, we have the aldohexose. Those are glucose, galactose, mannose, and allose. And then we also have 6 carbon na ang carbonyl group niya is ketone. So instead of aldohexose, they are called ketohexose. So examples of those are sinasisose, fructose, sorbose, and tagatose. Yan. So these are the Fischer projections of galactose, mannose, allose. All of them have 6 carbon chains with them. Ayan. So aldehydes lahat. So aldohexose sila. And then this one, glyceraldehyde na mayroong 3 carbon chains. Ay, 3 carbon atoms. So this is the simplest carbohydrate unit. And then yung mga nandito sa baba, ribose, arabinose, xylose, and lysose, they have 5 carbons. And then ang carbonyl group nila is aldehyde. So yun yung Fischer projections nila. And all of this is naka-D configuration sila. And so let's have an example. What is the absolute configuration for each chiral carbon in this molecule? So this is a molecule of sorbose. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 carbon atoms and then yung C double bond O mo is nandito. So this is a ketone. So this is a ketohexose. So balik tayo doon. Ayan, we have here sorbose, ketohexose. Ayan. So, the question is, ano yung configuration? D ba or L yung mga chiral carbons niya? And also, ano ba yung configuration nitong mismong molecule na to? D ba siya or L yung configuration niya? So, for sorbose, it has 1, 2, and 3 chiral carbons only or chiral centers. But the problem here is, yung C double bond O mo is nasa ibaba. And we have conditions na kapag Fischer projections, dapat nasa taas yung C double bond O. And also, yung mga horizontal units niya is directed outwards. Or in other words, directed towards you. So, dapat naka-wedge siya before mo siya i-convert into a Fischer projection. But the problem here is baliktad siya. So, yung C double bond O mo is nasa ibaba. And then, yung mga horizontal units mo is naka-dash lines siya. So, meaning, palabas siya. So, if you imagine a paper, etong solid na to within the paper to, and then you imagine na itong mga OH taka hydrogen mo dito is nasa labas na siya ng papel, palikod. So, para siyang pakpak ng paper. Parang ganun yung logic niya. So, I have here atomic model of sorbose. Ito siya. Medyo magulo. Ayan. We have this one. So, ipapakita ko siya sa inyo one by one per carbon. So, yung first carbon papakita ko is this one. This is actually a CH2OH. See, carbon dito, hindi lang pinakita yung dalawang hydrogen and then meron siyang OH. So, this is the first carbon. Ayan. This is the carbon. Ayan. Ay, mali. Ayan na lang. This is the carbon. Hydrogen na dalawa. And then, ito yung O. Itong red. And then, yung hydrogen mo yan. So, this is the first carbon. And then, second carbon is the double bond. So, this is the second carbon. Ito. Nakikita nyo? Ito yung carbon. And then, as you can see, double bond siya. Dalawa yung bonds niya. So, this is the second carbon. Then, we proceed with the next one. Ito. This is the carbon na mayroong OH. So, if you will see, nasa right. Ito. Ganito siya. So, palikod is una, and then nasa right siya. So, ganito yung itsura niya. Saan ba? Ayan. This is the carbon. And then, paatras, ito yung carbon, nasa left, ay right sa, right ninyo, and then ito yung hydrogen mo. Palikod, and then nasa right, and then hydrogen. And then the next one is, the second chiral carbon, nasa left, yung oxygen. So, ito siya. This one. Ito. Carbon, palikod, and then ito nasa left, and then ito nasa right. Yan. And then yung last na chiral carbon mo is this one. Ito nasa right, and then, ay, nasa right ba? Tama ba? Nasa left. Baliktad ba siya? Eh, baliktad. Wait lang, ayusin ko. Eto. Ano yung nakikita nyo dito? Yan. Tama. Nasa right. And then eto, nasa left. And then this one, supposedly nasa right. Baliktad. Yan. Ganyan. Yan. Eto. This one. This is the last chiral carbon. So, nasa right yung OH, nasa left yung hydrogen. And then, the last one is your CH2OH pa rin yan. So, another CH2OH. So, ang parang kailangan lang natin dito is although kailangan naman lahat, pero ang kailangan mo for the Fischer projection is yung condition mo, yung C double bond O mo nasa taas. So, eto. And also, yung mga horizontal substituents mo is nasa towards you. So, pwede muna nating tanggalin. In the meantime, eto, yung CH2OH po na nasa taas. Kasi medyo nagulo dito eh. So, tanggalin ko to. Ito yung CH2OH. And then yung CH2OH sa baba, tanggalin natin muna. So, ang natitira na lang is the C double bond O and then yung tatlong chiral carbons mo. So, this is what they look like. Yan. Ganyan yung itsura niya. Para makita. Yan. Ayan. Nakikita nyo? Yung C double bond O nasa baba. Tapos, ayan. Eto, palikod, nasa right, nasa left, then nasa right. So, the problem here is dapat nasa taas yung C double bond O mo, and then yung mga, eto, dapat nasa towards sa inyo. So, ang rotation lang natin na pwede is either pa ganito, ayan, nasa taas na yung C double bond O mo, or pa ganon, paharap. So, nasa taas din yung C double bond O mo. So, either rotations, ang ending is nasa taas yung C double bond O mo. But we have to also consider the second condition na dapat nakapaharap yung yung mga horizontal substituents mo. So, if we will try na pa ganito, ayan. So, although, nasa taas yung C double bond O mo, yung mga horizontal mo is nasa likod pa rin. Nakikita nyo, nasa likod pa rin siya. So, hindi pwede yung rotation na ganun. So, we go back to the original. Ganito. And then, we try the second one, which is paharap siya. Ayan. Ganito. Paharap natin. And then, parang i-stretch ko lang konti para makita nyo. Ayan. So, ganyan na yung itsura niya. So, makikita nyo yung C double bond O nasa taas. And then, yung mga horizontals is, ayan, nakapaharap na sa inyo. So, this is the Fischer projection we are looking for. Ayan. And then, we can, pwede natin ibalik yung mga CH2OH, pero maguguluhan lang kayo. So, ganyan siya. Ganyan yung itsura niya. Paano ba? Ganyan. Hindi ko makita. Yan. Makita yun. Ganyan. So, we will write this one in Fischer projection na. So, write a straight line. Hindi siya straight. Meron bang straight line dito? Ito. Yan. And then, we can now write here. Yung dito. That is the OH. Ito yung C. Okay? That is the CH2OH nandito. And then, yung C double bond O, dito pa rin. Oxygen. And then, next, ito. This one. Ito. Yung OH mo is nasa right. So, OH nasa right. And then, hydrogen. And then, next, chiral carbon. This one. Eto. Nasa left yung OH. Sulat natin yung OH nasa left. And then, hydrogen. And then, yung last na chiral carbon, this one. Eto. Eto na yung last. Nasa right siya. So, we will write the Fischer projection. Eto, nasa right. And then, hydrogen. And then, sulat na natin, eto. OH. So, this is now the Fischer projection for this sorbose, yung better na Fischer projection niya. Yan. And then, we try to determine the configuration for each chiral carbon. So, eto, number natin, 1, 2, 3, kasi diba we start at the end, nearer the carbonyl group. 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So, yung chiral carbons natin nasa carbons 3, 4, and 5. So, si carbon 3, nakikita natin nasa right siya. So, kapag right, that is the D configuration. And then C4, left. Then C5, that is the D configuration. And then, next question, D ba siya or L? So, ang point of interest natin is the chiral carbon farthest from the most oxidized carbon or the chiral carbon bearing the highest number. So, 3, 4, and 5, automatic, eto siya. Si C5 or this one. Ay. Ayan. So, nasa right. Automatic, this is a D sorbose. Yan. Ganun lang. Ganun lang siya. Then, we have another example. This time, this is a tagatose. Same question. ano yung chiral carbons, ano yung configurations ng mga chiral carbons, and then ano yung overall na configuration niya, D ba siya or L. So, this time, yung CHO mo dito, this is your C double bond OH or your aldehyde group. So, nasa taas na siya. Pero, hindi siya yung parang straight line. So, we have here, saan na? C double bond O. Okay. So, this is, tama ba? Baliktad. Dito. Ayan. So, this is the atomic model of tagatose. Just like eto, yung nasa screen ninyo. Yan. So, first, I'll show you the carbons. We have here the C double bond OH. Eto siya. This one. This is the C double bond. This is the C double bond and then H. C double bond O and then the hydrogen. So, this is the first carbon. And then the second carbon, we have this one. Yung hydrogen, di ba ito? Ito yung within the plane natin. So, ganyan siya. Tapos, ang nakapaharap is si hydrogen. Ang nasa likod is si OH. So, ganito yung itsura niya. Ayan. Ayan. Si carbon to, hydrogen, obviously, nasa harap. And then yung oxygen or OH nasa likod. And then yung third carbon, nasa harap din yung oxygen. This is the second carbon. This is the third carbon. Ito. Nasa harap, nasa likod yung OH. And then, the last chiral carbon, we have this one. Ito. Nasa harap yung OH, nasa likod yung hydrogen. And then, the last, that is the CH2OH. This one. CH2OH. Ayan. So, this is the atomic model for that tagatose. So, the problem here is kailangan natin siyang i-stretch. Ayan. So, yung bago natin siya i-stretch, kailangan muna natin, kasi nakapa-side is una. Nasa side siya. So, kailangan natin siyang iharap. So, ang possible na gawin natin is, pag ganon, ito yung double bond O. Ito yung double bond O yung tingnan nyo. Pag ganon. Ayan. Nakapaharap sa inyo. And then, once we stretch it, dapat nasa taas yung C double bond O. Nasa taas nga. And then, yung mga horizontal, dapat nasa harap. Tingnan nyo. Nasa likod siya. So, hindi pwede yung rotation natin na pag ganun. So, what we will do? We reverse that one. So, instead na paharap, try natin na palikod. So, ito yung double bond. Ito yung tingnan nyo. Ito. So, palikod natin. And then, we will stretch it. Like that. Ayan. I-stretch natin siya. So, tignan nyo. Yung mga horizontals ay yung double bond nasa harap. Ayan. And then, yung horizontals na is towards sa inyo na. Hindi ko lang siya may stretch na maayos, pero ganyan siya. Ayan. Nakikita nyo? Ayan. Mas better. Ayan. Nakapaharap na. And then, makikita nyo yung Fischer projection na. Ganyan. So, we will write the Fischer projection for this one. Ito. Nakikita nyo. Ganyan. Ayan. Medyo clear. This is the straight line. So, we will write a Fischer projection. Sulat tayo now. Another straight line. And then, nasa taas yung CHO. And then, first chiral carbon, this one. Ito. This one. So, nasa right siya. If we will turn this one, Eto, pa ganun. And then, ang mangyayari dito sa hydrogen mo, papaganto. And then, yung oxygen mo is dito, pa ganun. So, eto, una siya, magpapa-right siya. So, titignan nyo, nasa right yung, nasa right yung hydrogen. So, dito yung hydrogen. And then, yung OH mo is nasa left. And then, next, eto, pag ganun din siya. So, H, and then OH. And then, the last one, eto, pag ganun. And then, ayan. Unang papaharap yung OH mo kasi siya yung nasa harap. Eto. And then, eto yung mauhuli. So, nasa right mo yung OH. And then, hydrogen. And then, the last one would be the CH2OH. So, that is now the Fischer projection for this tagatose. Ayan. Nasa left, left, and then nasa right, and then yung CH2OH. Then, doon yung C double bond O mo. So, ganun yung Fischer projection. And then, you can now determine the configuration for each chiral carbon mo. So, for the second carbon, before that, number muna natin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So, yung chiral centers natin is carbons 2, 3, and 4. So, si carbon 2, configuration niya is nasa left. So, L. Carbon 3, ayan, nasa L siya, nasa left. And then yung last, carbon 4, nasa right. So, D. Then the question, next question, D ba or L yung tagatose mo? That is a D configuration because of your carbon 4. Siya yung last. Nasa right siya. And so, this is a D tagatose. Yan. Ganun. Ganun lang yung D and L configuration. And then, aside from the D and L, meron din yung may encounter ninyo yung R and S configuration. Na-mention ko to dun sa amino acids pero hindi siya yung in-depth na discussion. This time, i-discuss ko na talaga siya. So, we can determine the D and L isomers through the RS configurations then. First, we have to look at the Fischer projection. So, ang kailangan natin is we look at the chiral center and then we determine its priority groups and then identify if it is R or S configuration. So, how do we determine priority groups? So, the greater the molecular weights, siya yung mas priority. And kung sino yung mas mabigat, siya yung mas priority. So, among the elements, hydrogen being the lightest element, siya yung pinaka-least na priority. Siya yung laging nahuhuli. Ayan. So, we have the R configuration. If your priority group, order, or direction is clockwise, and counterclockwise naman kapag S configuration. For example, yung pinakamabigat mo na group is nandito, and then yung second mo is nandito, so clockwise yung direction niya. Pwede rin naman na nandito yung, kunwari nandito yung 1, nandito yung 2 mo. So yung direction niya is clockwise pa din. So that is an R configuration. And then next is an S configuration if yung priority group mo is nandito and then counterclockwise, nandito yung second priority group mo. So that would be an S configuration. Remember also na si R and S, eto yung clockwise, R is clockwise, S is counterclockwise. It is only applicable if vertical yung priority group mo. Kapag vertical, kunwari ganyan. Example, for carbohydrates, ayan, nandito yung OH, dito yung H, carbon. Oxygen, siya yung pinaka-priority. Ay, hindi, mali. Baliktad. Ganito. Kunwari ganyan. Yung OH mo nandito, yung hydrogen. yung carbon mo. Ito yung automatic first priority kasi oxygen versus carbon versus hydrogen. Pinakamabigat mo si oxygen. So, siya yung first priority. And, vertical siya. So, ang susundin mo is eto. Ayan. And also, if it is also directed outwards. Kunwari, naka-wedge yan. Ayan. Kapag naka-wedge, paharap yung OH mo, so sundin mo to. Pero if hindi, babalik ta rin mo siya. So kapag horizontal, or backwards, yung priority group mo, yung R configuration is counterclockwise and then yung S configuration mo is clockwise. Yan yung susundin mo. So let us try. Examples. Ayan. So we have this. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, aldohexose siya. So, yung chirality, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So, ang chiral carbon natin is nasa carbons 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, isa-isain natin yung mga chiral carbons. So, first, dun sa carbon 2, C2. Ayan. Dun sa carbon 2, ayan. C, double bond O, and then OH, then dito, hydrogen, dito, C, then H, O. C, ganyan. And so on. Ganyan muna siya. So, yung first point of comparison mo is between oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and carbon. So, of the three, pinakamabigat si oxygen. So, this is your first priority. Makikita nyo na siya, horizontal. Horizontal yung first priority group mo. So, ang susundin mo is this one. R is counterclockwise and S is clockwise. Ayan, oxygen. And then, ang next mo is si either dito or dito. But the problem is both of them is oxygen. Carbon. So, kapag parehong carbon, you proceed with the next na point of attachment. Ang next na point of attachment is dito, double bond oxygen. Eto, si carbon na to, ang naka-attach sa kanya is an oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. So, magiging ganito siya. So, eto. This is carbon 1. This is carbon 2, carbon 3. So, eto, si carbon 1, ang naka-attach sa kanya, kapag double bond, magiging O, oxygen yan. Eto, si carbon 3, ang naka-attach, oxygen, di ka siya. Ang naka-attach sa kanya is oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. And then, you proceed until meron siyang difference. Oxygen ay parehong carbon. And then next, oxygen, oxygen. Then yung next, oxygen and carbon. So, oxygen versus carbon, obviously, mananalo to. Mas priority siya. So, ang magiging ending, si C1 yung priority group mo. Second priority group mo. So, dito yung second. So, from that alone, eto, dito na yung third, eto yung fourth. Ganyan. Kahit itong dalawa lang yung ma-determine mo, malalaman mo na agad. So, makikita mo yung direction niya. That is a counterclockwise. So, kapag counterclockwise, balik tayo, that is R. So, counterclockwise, so R siya. Ganun lang. Then, try natin ulit doon sa third chiral carbon. Dun sa third chiral carbon, asan siya? C3. Naka-attach hydrogen. Dito, oxygen. Again, horizontal. So, yung kanina, nasa baba. And then, dito, C. Dito, C. And O. O muna. So, obviously, this is your priority, si oxygen. So, ito yung 1. And then, yung 2, parehong carbon. So, we proceed with the second point of attachment. So, si carbon 2, OH, ito hydrogen. And then, C double bond O, carbon 1, carbon 2. Ito si carbon 4. Carbon 4, hydrogen, OH. So, mapansin nyo, si carbon 2 and carbon 4, parehong OH and hydrogen. So, pareho lang yan. Then, proceed tayo dun sa next ulit. Si carbon 5, and then versus carbon 1. So, si carbon 5, OH, and then hydrogen, then another carbon, si carbon 6. So, si carbon 5, oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. Si carbon 1 ulit, di ba? Kanina, si oxygen and oxygen, since that is a double bond oxygen. So, oxygen, oxygen, and then oxygen versus carbon. So, automatic, carbon 1 yung magiging priority. So, sa side ni carbon 1, that is si carbon 2. So, this is your second priority group. And the direction is a clockwise direction. So, carbon 3, clockwise, sinister. And then, next for carbon 4. Ayan. This is your first. Kasi oxygen, carbon, carbon, hydrogen. So, yan yung first. And then, eto, carbon mo dito. Ayan, pareho eto, tsaka, ayan. So, proceed tayo dun sa next. Eto. Sulat ko na lang. Okay. Si carbon 4, hydrogen, OH. And then we have here carbon 3, hydrogen, oxygen. Dito carbon 5, oxygen, hydrogen. Pareho lang. So we proceed with the next one. Carbon 6, carbon 2, oxygen, and hydrogen. Si carbon 6, that is a CH2OH. So H, H. So, dito carbon 1. Dito carbon ay oxygen. Ayan. Asa na tayo? Ayan. So, pareho si carbon 3 and si carbon 5. So, doon tayo sa next. Si carbon 2 versus carbon 6, kumbaga. So, kay carbon 2, ang naka-attach sa kanya is C, O, and hydrogen. Si carbon 6, oxygen, hydrogen, and hydrogen. Baliktad to. O and C. So, parehong oxygen, oxygen. So, carbon versus hydrogen. So, automatic, dito sa side sa taas, yung magiging priority mo. So, this is the second priority and the direction is clockwise. So, again, that is sinister. Then, last configuration, last chirality, si carbon 5. Ito yung first priority mo ulit. And then, ayan, si carbon 5, this is your first priority. And then, si carbon 6 mo, eto, H2, and then, eto, si C4. Si C4, naka-attach sa kanya is O, C, and H din. Compare mo with carbon 6 na OHH. So, lugi siya kasi dalawa yung H niya. So, again, C4 yung priority mo. So, dito siya sa taas. Ito, yan, 2. So, again, the direction is a counterclockwise, kaya R yung configuration niya. So, that is how you will determine the priority groups. Yan. We have again another example. Try natin. Probably this is the last example, and then you can try by yourself yung isa pa. So, si ribose, this time, nakapahiga siya. So, kapag ribose, ayan, pahiga siya. So, ang condition mo is yung OH mo, pahiga. Yung OH mo is naka-vertical. Vertical, and then titignan mo kung paharap or palikod. So vertical, clockwise, and then counterclockwise. So kapag paharap siya, ito yung sundin mo, R clockwise, S counterclockwise. Kapag naman vertical na palikod, babalik na rin mo siya. So R is counterclockwise, yung S mo is clockwise. Then try natin. So we have here, this is your carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So yung chiral carbons natin is si carbons 2, 3, and 4. Try natin magsulat din ng Fischer projection niya. Ay, yung R muna, R and S muna. So si OH ay si C2. Saan na? C2. Ayan. So dito yung H mo. Actually, nasa likod yung H. Parang dash line yan. And so this is your carbon. And then, ang next, this is your first priority. Then, ito, carbon, carbon yan. But this one, double bond, ito, C, single bond O. So, automatic, this is your second priority. And the direction is clockwise. So, that is on R. Ito, R, clockwise. Paharap siya. So, R. And then, si C3, this time, palikod yung oxygen mo. So, yung hydrogen mo, siya yung nasa harap. So, yung OH, again, this is your first priority. Then, eto, parehong OH, hydrogen, yung carbons 2 and 4 mo. Then, you proceed outward ulit. Carbon 1 and then carbon 5. So, C double bond O, syempre, yan yung mas priority. Si C5 mo is CH2. Yan, CH2O. So, eto, mas priority dito. So, dito yung second mo. Ayan. So, the direction is, ano ba to? Counterclockwise. Oo, counterclockwise. Ito, clockwise. So, R. Ito, counterclockwise. So, S siya. Oo, S. Pero, backwards. Backwards. Kaya yung S mo is mare-revert siya into an R configuration. And then, yung last is yung C4. Ito yung first configuration, nasa likod yung hydrogen. And then, ito, CH2, ito, CH2OH, ito, CH, ayan, C, nakabit is O, hydrogen, and yung carbon. Baliktad. Carbon, hydrogen. Dito you get C, O, hydrogen, hydrogen. Ayan, so obviously, carbon and hydrogen. Talagang mas priority dito sa may left side. Ayan, so dito yung second priority mo. And the direction is clockwise siya. So, clockwise, that is on R configuration. Ayan. So, na-determine na natin yung mga R and S configuration niyan. Paano natin siya i-transform into a Fischer projection na mayroong D and L. So, let's go back to the previous slide. So, if yung carbon mo is R isomer, yung OH mo doon sa Fischer projection is ilalagay mo siya on the right side. Ayan. And then, yung S isomer mo, ilalagay mo yung OH mo doon sa left side. So this time, lahat ng mga configurations natin, absolute configurations is nasa R. So kapag R, that is on the right. So if we will write the Fischer projection for this one, ayan. Yung C double bond O, syempre nasa taas, that is the CHO. And then yung second carbon, nasa, ay, eto. So, eto, nasa right. Eto, nasa right din. And then this one, nasa left. So, ayan. Ay, hindi, mali. Right pala, parehong, ayan. Pareho sila. Pare-pareho silang R. Yan. Sulat natin, nasa right lahat. OH, hydrogen, OH, hydrogen, hydrogen. This is OH. Or baon eh. OH, and then hydrogen. And then, nandito yung CH2, OH. Yan. So, yan na yung magiging Fischer projection niya. And then, the problem, ay the next question is, D ba siya or L? So, eto, si C4. Siya yung pinakamalayong chiral center. And nasa right siya. So, this is a D ribose. Yan. So, ganun lang. Mag-convert ng wedge and dash formulas into Fischer projections. So, you can try this one. Eto. This time, this is a Manos. I'll just show the correct answer. This is a D. Manos. So, kapag gagawin mo siya ng Fischer projection, CHO, and then, OH, nandito, hydrogen, oxygen, OH, hydrogen, OH, hydrogen, and then this time, last pala, hydrogen, and then yung CH2, OH. Ayan. So, nandito, sa right yung last chiral carbon mo. Kaya naging D-manose siya. So, you can try, determine nyo yung R and S. So, tingnan nyo, naka-vertical yung mga OH nyo. Usually, OH yung nagiging first priority dito. So, nasa vertical sila. So, you use the R clockwise, S counterclockwise. Pero notice, eto, nasa harap. So, yun yung masusunod. And then, eto, nasa likod. So, kailangan nyong baliktarin yung configuration nyo. Ayan. So that is it for today's discussion. So I hope you learned something and medyo naintindihan ninyo. So next meeting, we will have more discussions on carbohydrates. So that's it. Happy learning, everyone.